Am I here? Sound. Looks like it's working. Hello. Good afternoon. How's everyone doing? Woohoo! We're back. Hey. So, all right. Let me get set up a little bit. I need to change a couple things here on my end. What do I got here? Okay, I got the. Oh, I see. Okay, and are we recording? We are recording, and the settings are correct, I believe. No? Yes. Yep. Uh-huh. All right. I think we are good. All right. Good afternoon. How's everyone doing, huh? I'm doing great. Thank you. Thanks for asking. Oh, let me hold on. Let me turn on the light here. There you go. Much better now. You know the pretty light. I'm actually very lucky because I have a lot of windows in front of me, but still this light helps a lot with the style of the video, the color, the face doesn't make me look older, younger. I don't know. Anyway, so you can hear me, right? Oh, this thing is giving me some errors. You can hear me well, correct? Can you give me some thumbs up for sound? All right. Okay. So what are we doing this afternoon? Yes, clearly. Hey, Daniel. Good afternoon. All right. So what are we doing this afternoon? What are we doing this afternoon? What do you want to do this afternoon? Feel like you want to do a bit more WebSockets? All right, we can do that. Let me first find. Okay. Huh. And we had. I'm going to open another instance here. I'm getting set up with the things that. Yes, Monique, we are continuing with WebSockets, and now we're doing the cool stuff to this afternoon, which is we're putting it online. We're all connecting to the thing. We're all connecting to the thing. We are writing clients, and hopefully, by the end of the day, we might be able to have like a tiny circle on the screen. Move the circle and have everyone have the same circle move around. So like we're gonna coordinate geometry amongst everyone who's connected to the live stream right now. So that would be cool. So where was I? I was here. And let me open up. Oh, wait. So let me just. So we got that. Should I do larger font size? I'm just gonna show you what I'm doing. I'm trying to get the setup just like we had it this morning. I had the WebSocket thing here. Server echo. We have the server that we wrote this morning. We got the server that we wrote this morning. And then today, this afternoon, we want to write a client. So what we're going to do probably is we're going to create a folder here with a new client project. And then we're going to use that to connect to the server that we have Yes, which is probably going to be here. So we're going to all right, so server echo, and then we can probably just run here. Okay, so that works well. So we are on the server, and we need to create a new. So we can probably start doing it on the video itself. We can probably do this on the video as we go. So we can. So the video is going to be the first one with the client is going to be setting up the client, setting up the client's folder structure, going in, initializing the app, installing dependencies like we did it with the server, and then creating the file, and then writing the client. And then once we write the client, then I will start the server, or we can probably start the server before we do that. And then as we start the server, we connect, we start the client. Yeah, we're gonna have the server running because it's good for development, because we can see how we connect and how we do things. And then we're going to connect the client. We will develop the client, and then we will do the echo thing. And then that will be it for the first video. And then the second video will be taking all of this, which is right now leaving my computer, and then putting it somewhere online. And that somewhere online will be glitch, so I have to make a video about the glitch. We'll get to that later. Okay, so are we ready? Are we all set up? Okay, so let's get going. Because I have to teach. I actually have to teach later on this evening. So we can probably get started soon. Okay, client. And we're coming from the video this morning where we finished. How did we finish the video this morning? With the server running, doing the echo, etc. So we can probably start the video like, hey, this is what we're doing, and it comes from a playlist, etc., etc. And so let's do that. All right. And then, oh yes, I'm going to do this. What, do I have two servers? Oh, yeah, we do have two servers. Okay. So that was there from before. Okay. Okay. Hi, and welcome to this video where I'm going to teach you how to write a very simple WebSocket client that can connect to a WebSocket server and then can exchange data in real time. We're going to do that using JavaScript and Node.js, and this video is part of a longer series where we are experimenting with WebSocket technology to communicate different processes and exchange data between them. And hopefully by the end of this series, we will get to more cool visual stuff like geometry, sharing form, and those kind of things. So if you're interested in what you see today, make sure you check out the full playlist, because we're going to start already. I'm going to assume that you have seen the previous videos and that you know how to install Node, how to create a project, and how to get your WebSocket server deployed and running. So I'm going to assume that you are at this stage where you can open the echo server that we just wrote, and you can type node server, you can execute this, and you can run a server on your local machine that is listening for connections and that will echo whatever message is coming inside. All right. So actually I have that implemented. So I'm going to leave that here in the background. So I'm just going to leave it right here. And then I'm going to open another PowerShell. So I'm going to click on here and I'm going to type PowerShell so that I can open another instance of PowerShell that I'm going to use to create my WebSocket client project. Okay, like we saw in the previous videos, this is going to boil down to creating a new folder, initializing a Node.js application, installing dependencies, and then starting to write the code. So we've seen all of this in previous videos. So I'm going to go to my desktop, which is where I have this folder called WS for WebSockets. I can see that I only have one folder called server echo. So I'm going to create another folder with the command md, and that's going to be called client. I'm going to call it client simple, for example, because it's not going to be doing much at this time. So I'm going to create that folder, and you can see that the folder just showed up here on my Windows Explorer, and it's also here. So I can now access my client simple folder. And if I type ls, I can see that there is nothing inside of it. So I'm going to clear my screen CLS, and I'm going to go here inside of client simple. And as we saw in the previous video, I'm going to initialize my Node.js application. I'm going to do that by typing npm init, and then I'm going to follow the instructions. So the package name is going to be called client simple version, no description, the entry point. I'm going to call the file client.js. And then test command, git repository, etc., blah, 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 license. Yes, everything is okay. All right. And you can see that npm has created this package.json file, which is the descriptor of all the dependencies and everything that my project needs. Because I'm going to be using WebSockets, I'm going to also install the WebSocket library that I'm going to be using as a dependency. So if I double click here, you can see that right now my project has no dependencies. But as soon as I type npm install I and then type ws, which is the name of the package, this is going to go to some repository, fetch that package, and install it on my folder. And all of a sudden, the dependency has shown up here in package.js. So I'm going to minimize this, and you can see that all these files have shown up on my project. So I think I'm ready now to start creating my client script that I'm going to use to connect to the WebSocket server that I currently have running here on my screen. So right here in my back, right? And that I'm going to leave there. I'm not going to touch it. So, all right. So as we saw before, I'm going to create a new file on this folder on client simple by typing code and then type, for example, client.js. But you could have done that some other way. I'm just going to do that so that it opens Visual Studio Code right away. And then I already have that file ready. And if I save it, now it shows up here on my project. All right. And what I'm going to do is in Visual Studio, I'm going to use these two screens so that I have the code that I wrote on the left for the server. So that is what's running right now on PowerShell. And here on the right, I have the code that I will write for the client. So these are the two files that I'm going to be working, and I'm doing this just so that we can see what similarities are between the project that I wrote for the server and the ones for the client, and what differences are going to be. So what we want to do is we want to write a process that is going to connect to the WebSocket server, and it's going to send some message like, hey server, how are you doing? Something simple like that. All right. We will farther down in this playlist, we will write more complex programs in other platforms, etc., that exchange richer information. But for the time being, that is going to be enough as a proof of concept. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, in my client project, like I did in the server, I'm going to import the WebSocket library so that I can create WebSocket objects. So I'm going to create a constant variable called WebSocket as well, and I'm going to use it to require the WebSocket library that I had before. Okay. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is, before, what I did was I created a WebSocket server. Like I constructed that. Now it's going to be different because it's going to be a client. So what I want to do is I want to create a WebSocket client that is going to connect to the server. So that is going to be slightly different. Here I named the variable WebSocket server Now here, I'm just going to call it WebSocket because literally I am creating a socket that will connect to the server. And then here, I'm just going to construct the object by typing new WebSocket. And then in parentheses, I am asked for the address where this WebSocket server is living. So the address is going to be, for this particular case, let me create that as a variable. So I'm going to say the address of where my server is. So server address is going to be, for example, because right now in this example, I'm going to communicate between two processes that are living on my machine. So the server is on my machine and the client will also be on my machine. Then, as I said in previous videos, we're going to use the local host. We're going to use the IP, that special IP that is used to refer to anything that lives on the same machine, on the same computer. So I'm going to use 127.0.0.1, and you can see my previous videos if you need to if you want to know more about why that is the case. I forgot to add the prefix, so this is going to be a WebSocket address. So WebSocket ://. And because we are on the same machine, I also need to point to which is the port at which that service is living. So that's going to be port 5000, which is what I have here. All right. And I believe that literally that is everything that I need to create a simple connection. All right. So I'm going to save this file and I'm going to dock everything back to the left here, something like this. Yes, it's not great, but I'm going to dock that here. I'm going to see how the files that I have. Okay, I have the client file here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to run this client and see if it connects successfully to the server. So what I'm going to do is node client, and then I'm going to hit start. And I can see that a client just connected, but for some reason the cursor went all the way to the bottom. I'm not sure what's happening there, but you can see that the client connected and the process is alive because we can see the cursor that is ticking. That means that things are so far working. Okay. Oops. So I'm going to dock that here. All right. So it looks like things are working. Now, the problem is that this client is basically doing nothing. So it's very difficult to debug it if we don't know what it's doing really. So because it connects to the server, but once it connects to the server, it's not really doing anything. It's not sending information, exchanging. So what we need to do is we need to attach some behavior to this client as well. How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to do it in a very similar way than we did to the server. So when we wanted to attach behavior to the server, we accessed the events by using the on method. So very similarly, WebSocket clients have a lot of events that we can associate behavior to by giving them callback functions. So for example, WebSocket on, and you can see that if I open if I open single quotes, I can see a drop down of all the possible events that I can attach behavior to. So a very typical event to attach behavior to is the open event, because the open event is the event that gets raised once a successful connection with the server is established. And for example, something that we may want to do is we may want to say, well, whenever I connect to the server, I want to send a message saying, hi server, how are you doing? So I'm going to attach here a function. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I would like to send, whenever you're connected, I would like to send a message that says, hello server. All right, for example. And as I do that, I'm going to go back to, I'm going to stop this process. All right, I'm going to clear the screen and I'm going to initialize the process again. So I'm going to start the process again and see what behavior I get here on the server. You can see that a client just connected and the server received a message from the client that was hello server. Am I on the way? No, I'm not on the way. Now, okay, so that is great, but remember that this server that we wrote was particularly good at doing this one thing that was echoing messages. So theoretically, this server should have taken that message and sent it back to the client. However, here in the client, we don't see that happening. We don't see anything going on. We don't get any message. And that is because when we wrote the client, we have attached behavior only to when the client connects to the server. We may also want to attach behavior to whenever the client receives data from the server. So that's going to be WebSocket on, and then we're going to attach whenever a message is received from the server, what can we do? So I'm going to write a function that takes a message. So this will be passed in to the callback by Node.js or whoever. And then here, what I would like to do is I would like to console log received message from the server. And that's going to be here, MSG. Okay. All right. Are we ready for this? Let's try it out. So the server is the exact same one. I'm going to just run the client again. And you're going to see that the client, as we connected, sent the hello server message to the server. This got printed here. And then the server responded with a message saying someone said hello server. All right. All right, great. So I can actually now check this out. So I can actually open another client here. All right. And let me make the font size a little larger because then it's going to be very difficult to see. All right, so I can create another client on my machine, and then here I can just say, well, can I also start a second client on my machine? And as I do that, this client sent a message here, and then that message was also broadcasted to the previous one. So now I have two clients. And I could just open as many clients as I wanted, a third client. And whenever this connects, sends to the server bounces that message to all the other ones, etc., etc. All right. So this is it. Literally, we just wrote a WebSocket client server with a WebSocket client with, what is this? 7 lines of code? I'm not even sure. But that's all it takes. We could, and we can also mix that with what we did in the previous videos, which is having some other kind of client, which might not be the Node one, but is still another client. So we can open this and we can say, hello from Chrome. And hopefully that, you see, we get this message on all the clients because it's broadcasted to everyone. And if I go back to, for example, this one and restart it, I also get it here, hello server. So now every single client, no matter if it's Node client, if it's a Chrome client, or if we write this with processing, with JavaScript, with Python, whatever, anyone who connects to this server, this WebSocket server that is running on my machine, will always get a message from whoever is sending messages to the server. So that's it. That's literally how simple that was. All right. So what did I miss here? No, I think we're good with this. So obviously these clients here, the ones that I wrote with Node.js, are not as cool perhaps as the one with the one in Chrome, because they don't really allow me to type things dynamically and to like communicate with the server. So it's not so chatty, if you will, but that is basically because the command line terminal, it's a bit trickier to implement typing and taking text and that kind of stuff. But we could do that as an example at some point farther down the line. I'm actually much more interested in now seeing how we can take this server here, the server that we have running now locally on my machine, and that only processes that are living on my machine can access. I'm much more interested in now teaching you how to take this and to put it somewhere that is living out there in the wild on the internet so that we can all from any computer connect to this server, which is what I'm going to do in the next videos down in this playlist. And at any rate, if you like what you saw, please consider subscribing, liking this video. It helps us send the message across. Okay, so let's move on and let's see how can we take the server and put it online and access it from whatever. It's going to be super, super fun. Woohoo! Alrighty. So can we land on Mars now? I wonder if we could put this server on and make it live on Mars and then and then and then connect from there. Okay, so what is next? Glitch. We're going to take a look at glitch. So let me stop all this stuff here. Let me stop all this stuff. Could be 12 minutes. Yeah, I thought it was 8 minutes each way. No, maybe 6. But you're right. It would be a big timeout. All right, so we're gonna leave this there. Everything is good. So I'm going to open. Okay, so how was this? Was it cool? Was it a little too much? Okay. Oh. All right, so I'm going to make a video which is what is glitch.com. I'm going to explain what it's good at, and then I'm going to do the next video which is how to create a project on glitch. Yes. Okay. How can I explain what glitch is? Okay, so it lets you create online projects. It's based on Node and JavaScript. It has live code editing together, and it's very, very nice. Like very freaking nice. Have I said that I love glitch? All right. Should I make this video as a standalone thing, or should I make it part? Should I phrase it as part of the whole? Also, I'm very low on battery, so if audio breaks, can you please just flash me on the chat like audio, because I'll be seeing you here through the corner of my eye. Hi, and welcome to this video where I'm going to explain to you very briefly an overview of what glitch.com is. Glitch, well, it's one of my favorite projects out there right now, today in the early 2021. And it's a really, really nice project because what it is a platform that allows you to host code projects that live online and that can be accessed from anywhere. But what is so special about Glitch? Well, turns out taking a bunch of code, like a web server or like some process that lives online, and putting it on a cloud service and making it run and making it accessible to the World Wide Web is actually not such a straightforward process. It involves a lot of control panels and SSHing and Linux machines, etc. So it takes a little bit of time to get familiarized with how to do that. And what's amazing about the Glitch is that it makes it extremely, extremely easy to just with a couple clicks to create a project that is already living on the cloud, that has an address, that has an URL, and that we can use to share with other people and to have that project running online. It is specifically designed, as far as this video, it is specifically designed for front end web development. So it's very good at hosting static pages that are built on HTML and JavaScript, for example. And it is also specifically designed for back-end projects that are running on Node.js. Node.js is the runtime that is most popular these days for JavaScript projects and is very useful for running web servers, for running WebSocket servers, etc., etc. Developing and deploying Node.js projects is typically not very easy, and most of the services that are out there are have like a monthly fee, etc. Whereas, for example, glitch.com is free. So it's very, you can host very simple projects, especially for tinkering and for learning. It's a really good one. And also a feature that is extremely, extremely nice of Glitch is that it has this online editor. So I can edit the code online without having to upload any files from my system, whatever. And at the same time, it's a collaborative platform. So we can have multiple people working on the same document, writing code together and executing that code. So think Google Docs, but for code. It's extremely, extremely nice. And I cannot emphasize enough how easy it is to run a Node.js project without having to go through the complexities of deployment, running servers, etc., and for $0. So it's one of my favorite projects right there out these days for tinkering with basic web stuff. It's going to be is really, really nice, and I really recommend that you check it out. And I am recording this video in the context of a video series of a playlist that I'm building about WebSocket technology and about using WebSockets to coordinate processes and exchange data between different platforms. So I'm going to be using glitch.com to create a bunch of these servers and use that to connect different processes and exchange geometry and move things around, etc., etc. So it's going to be very nice. So in my next video, I'm going to explain how to log in, how to set up a basic web page, and how to set up a basic web server. And then in the next videos, in the videos afterwards, I will go into more specifics about how to upload a WebSocket server, how to write a WebSocket server on Glitch, and then how to write clients that connect to it. And it's going to be really cool because we will be able to create like a chat function or have like multiple people communicate and exchange data there. Okay, so if you like that, please follow me on the next videos on this playlist. Thank you. All right. So, all right. So let's get started. So we're going to make a video how to create a project with Glitch. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to log in, and then I'm going to show basic functionality, which is basic functionality is going to be, what is it going to be? is going to be starting a front-end website. It's going to be starting an Express project. And I'm now going to show how to deploy from GitHub. Am I going to show that? Could I show that? Do I have a... I think I did write a server, simple WebSocket chat server. Yeah, but I don't like this project. So maybe I can just... So maybe I can just... What if I take the WebSocket, the Echo server, and I deploy that? Okay, so I'm going to create a new repo, and it's going to be simple WebSocket Echo server. Okay. And it's going to be public. It's going to have a README, a git ignore that is going to be special for Node. And I'm going to create the repo. I'm going to go here. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to open a terminal here, and I'm going to git clone this. So simple WebSocket Echo server. And then I'm just going to copy these two things here because I don't need the node modules. And then, oh, the light is gone. And then here I'm going to go to simple WebSocket and then git status. So I have to add those files. Git add all, and then git commit files from live stream. And then I'm going to push that to the repo. And then this should be here now. Okay, the file should be here. And therefore, if I start, I'm not gonna log in with GitHub. So I'm gonna create a new project from GitHub. I'm going to paste this here. And it's going to be the simple WebSocket Echo server from GitHub. And this doesn't have the start function, so it's not going to be working. Yes. No. Command is starting missing script. Yes, it's missing a starting script. Okay, well, it doesn't matter because I'm not going to be using that. Well, and all this stuff. Okay, I'm just going to do I need this? Well, I'm just gonna keep it here. And then I'm just gonna move this somewhere else because I don't want to confuse people with that. Okay. All right, so that's there. I'm going to log out. All right. Okay, so creating a project on Glitch. Wonderful. So let's start from the beginning. Oh, nope. No. I want to turn on the lights. Wait. Wait, hold on. I need to turn on the light, and I don't really know where that is. Hold on, give me a second here. Where are you? Where is the light? Ah, I see. That's going to be. That's going to be here, right? Yes. Very well. Mm-hmm. All right. So we were here. So, yeah, my battery is really low. Okay. So let's start again. Wonderful. So let's start from the beginning. Let's learn how to create basic basic projects in glitch.com, and then in the next videos we will learn how to customize them and how to work with them. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to sign up. So I already have an account, but I believe if you go to sign up, then you have like a bunch of options: Facebook, GitHub, blah blah blah, or just like your own account. I think in my case I did back in the time sign up with my GitHub account, and then once you have signed up, then basically you will reach this dashboard where right now I have here a bunch of projects that I've worked in the past. You probably won't have much going on here, and then basically the way to create new projects is by going here to new project and choosing between one of the 3 templates that are available, or cloning a project from GitHub. So, as I said before in my previous video, Glitch is specifically designed for web apps, and those basically fall under 2 categories. One of them is static websites, so websites that do not really have anything going on in the backend. So they are just simple HTML pages with perhaps some JavaScript code, but there's no user accounts, no logic, not anything working on the backend. So that would be the case, for example, of a hello web page, which if I click, I am immediately sent to this project that is being deployed right now, and that is being given an automatic name, which in this case is nasal juicy tent, which is a very strange name. And also you probably noticed that my screen is black because I did activate dark mode somewhere. I forget in my account. I'm not sure what I did that, but probably yours is white with black text. Where do I have dark mode? Change theme here. Yes, exactly. So probably yours looks something like this. I like dark mode better, so I'm going to work with this. You can see that here in my left panel, I have a bunch of files. So I have a simple HTML file that looks something like this. It's nothing fancy. I have a JavaScript script associated to it, and I have the styles, the CSS for this website, for this page. And if I go here to show, I can open in a new window the website that actually corresponds to this HTML that I have here. So for example, you can see that it's very simple. It has a header heading and it has a simple paragraph here. So for example, and what's nice about Glitch is that it's all very real-time connected. So if I make changes on the text, it will update very right away what I can see on the website. So for example, I'm your new cool web page that I am showcasing on parametric camp, which I should know how to spell, right? So I don't even need to save because it automatically auto saves. And then you can see that my website has refreshed automatically, and now it has this new text that I added. A better way to even see that is to, instead of showing it in a new window, we can show it here next to the code. So for example, I'm going to enter here a new line character, and then We are live on the stream. Yoo-hoo! You see? And then you can see how the website is updating automatically. Similarly, if I inspect my website, you can see that in the console here, I have a hi message. That's because the script here says hi. So I could modify this and say hi parametric campers. And I'm actually not sure if this is going to, yes, hi parametric campers. So is showing here on the console. So this is great. And this is really nice if you just want to put a static website that only has images, text, like something like your, I don't know, your homepage or something like that. What's also very nice is that immediately the route or the address of this website is nasojuicytent.glitch.me. What that means is that if I share this code and I paste it, for example, I'm pasting it here on the chat, on the live stream while I'm recording this, everyone can access that public website. So for example, if I type this here and I paste it on my browser, anyone from any browser can access that website at any given moment. And if I make any changes, for example, again, let me remove all this stuff here. You see, if I make any changes, those should broadcast right away to the other. And if they don't, you can just reload and things update. Okay, so that is how you can create a very simple website. And then you can add new files here. You can upload files, you can add new files, and you can work with text here. And if I were to invite collaborators to this document, we will see each other and we could type together live. It's actually very nice and very intuitive. Now, the other way of creating a new project is by using a Hello Express template. So how can I explain this? Node.js on its own is a JavaScript runtime, but like very often, like 50% of 60% of why people use Node is to create web servers. And it turns out that to write the code to create a web server from scratch is kind of tedious. It takes a few lines of code. So there is this framework called Express, which makes that very easy and very fast. So this template here is specifically designed to give you a Node application that already has some boilerplate code, some basic stuff to be able to serve a website with a backend from using Express. So you can see that now the files that I have are very different. So you can see that I have a package JSON file, and we should be familiar with this. We should be familiar with this because we already know what package.json is. It's the file that describes the dependencies and the characteristics of my project. So here, the hello namespace, the main file is server.js, it's running Node version 12, and it has a dependency right now, which is Express. All right. And the server file is this one, which is a strange file. It does what it does is, if you want to see this, what it does is it gives us this simple website that is living here on views, and that we can use to add dreams and to create a dynamic website. So for example, I want to record 100 live streams. Okay, and it just shows up there. But what's interesting, regardless of this basic functionality, what's interesting is that this that we're running here is a full-fledged Node application that is running, and I can actually see how that's running by going, for example, to the logs. So you can see this log is basically the console that we had before in PowerShell, and this, and here, for example, if I open a terminal, I could actually get into the backend, into the process, and type here ls. Oh, what is this? Wait, ls, and then just also figure out all the files that are here, and also as well trigger some process. So for example, I can print to server.js, and then I can print that to the console. Can I do nano? Oh, I can do nano. That's pretty cool, actually. All right. Okay. So, so I can access a tiny terminal that gives me access to the computer, to the tiny computer that is actually running this on the glitch.com server, which I think is really, really cool. Anyway, so what this means, and last but not least, I'm not going to cover. I'm not going to cover the SQLite, the SQLite template, which is basically also a node application that has a database that we can use to store data permanently, which is pretty cool. But what I would like to show you also is importing from GitHub. So if you have a project that is already living on GitHub and it has, for example, the example files that I'm going to be using today, I have them here on GitHub, and you can see it's a simple WebSocket echo server. It has the package JSON, it has the server JS, it has everything that we're going to be looking at today, and it has everything on this repository. So if I were to copy this GitHub link right now, and if I were to create a new project by importing it from GitHub, I can just paste here the link of my GitHub repository, and if it's public, then Glitch will go and which will go to GitHub. It will take all that code, it will clone it on this application, and then it will run it right away. All right, I don't know what happened there. It took a little bit to clone, but we can see that the project has been cloned, and I have the package file, I have the server that I was writing before, and if I look at the logs, I see that there are some errors going on here, which I will have to fix in a second, but I will fix in the next few videos. But basically, I have cloned everything, and now I have a copy of my GitHub repository on Glitch, which is really, really good also for starting projects if you don't want to start with the templates and you just want to do your own thing. Okay, which in our case it's pretty convenient. So this was starting applications in glitch.com in a nutshell. So what I would like to do now in the next videos is, because this video is part of a larger series where we're looking at WebSocket technology and how to exchange data between different processes, what I would like to do next is to write an example with you all together where we're going to deploy a WebSocket server on Glitch. It's going to be an echo server that is going to bounce messages back and forth. And we're going to see how to connect from clients to this server and use this server to exchange messages between different clients. It's going to be really cool. So if you want to learn more, check out the videos after in this playlist. And if you like this video, please consider subscribing, liking, etc., etc. Thank you. See you in the next video. All right. So now I'm wondering what is best to do here. I wonder if it's best to start from an Express template, or if it's best to just to clone from GitHub. That would mean assuming that people know how to do GitHub and how to push, which I haven't explained on the server, on the channel, so I would not want to do that assumption, I guess. So that means that the answer to my questions is creating an Express template and restarting it and modifying it. So we can probably do that. Let me go to my dashboard and delete these projects that I just created. So I'm just going to archive this. Okay. And how are we going to do that? Well, I'm going to take the server code, simple echo. I got the package, and I got the server. Huh. And do I have a simple WebSocket server? Okay. So if we have the files here, what we can do is we can just copy paste the server, and then we can copy paste the dependency, the WebSocket dependency, and then just execute the client from PowerShell. So, okay. All right, so that should be easy, I think. So now that we know how to create a WebSocket server, a WebSocket client, how to run them locally, and we've also learned what glitch.com is and how can we create new projects on glitch.com that live on the cloud. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to take the WebSocket server that we developed locally and that we could run in our own machine, and we're going to deploy it. We're going to put it online so that it's living on the internet, and then we can all connect to this. So we can all connect to this server. Okay. So the way we're going to do that is, remember, in our project, in our Echo server, we had the package file that defines the dependencies, and we also had the main server.js file, which defines the main code that runs the server. So what we're going to do here is, instead of deploying the project from GitHub, which many of us may not be familiar with yet, I have not explained this in my channel, how to use Git and GitHub, etc. I will want to do a playlist around that at some point. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a template project, like a Hello Express template project, and then we're just going to modify that so with our own code. So I'm going to start a Hello Express template, and it's going to do its thing, and it's going to give me a random name, square feather antique. And I'm going to replace this name here with a custom name. So I'm going to call this simple WebSocket server echo. Okay, that's going to be the name of my project. And you're going to see that here I have the README, which I don't really need. So I'm going to delete this file. And then the views and the public folders, those were also folders that were coming from the Express server. So I don't really need those, so I'm going to delete them. And then I also want to open here the logs window so that I can see what's going on behind the hood in my application. And then I'm going to dock this to the right, and then I'm going to have my old code, the one that was local, and my server code side by side. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take all this code, the code that was running on the server, and I'm going to overwrite whatever was in the template with that code. So this is my server code, okay? And right now you can see that if I look at the logs, it's given me a bunch of errors. And if we look here, it says I cannot find module WS. So it cannot find this. That is because we have not yet modified package.json, which, remember, is the file that defines the dependencies. And in this file, we have a dependency, which is the express module, which was coming with the template and we don't need anymore. But what we're going to do is we're going to replace that with the real dependency that we have here, which is the WebSocket library. So I'm going to write here the WebSocket and the version. And as I go down, you can see that things have changed. And now Node is installing, etc., and things are going. And voila! We have this message here, which is the server is listening on port 5000. Okay, so this is really good sign. So let's see if this works. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to try to connect with one of the clients that I had before. So I'm going to go to Client Simple and I'm going to open here a PowerShell, and then I'm going to say Node Client. But if I do this, it's not going to connect to anything, all right? Because if you remember, let me drop the client server, let me drop it into code, Visual Studio Code. If you remember, we had specified for our client that the connection address needed to be on the local machine. So it needed to be the local host, this 197.127.0.0.1. Now this is not the case anymore because the server that we want to connect to is not living on our machine, it's living somewhere on the cloud. So what do I need to replace this with? So what I need to do is I need to say server address needs to be, in this case, a new server that is going to be whatever this thing is living. And whatever this thing is living is going to be the name of so it's going to be WSS, and I believe we're going to be doing double SS because glitch.com requires secure connection. So that's one thing. So we're going to type here the name of the server .glitch.me. All right. And then we're going to, and then that's going to be it. We don't need to specify the port for in this case. So let's see if that works. So I'm going to dock this here. Oops. All right. So I'm going to dock this here somewhere, and then I'm going to clear the screen and I'm going to try to connect again. All right. And now I am getting this one error, which is that it cannot connect because the server is responding with this weird error message, which is 502. 502 is bad gateway response. We don't really need to get into the weeds of why that is. And the bottom line is that glitch.com has a special security feature that doesn't really allow anyone who wants to ping a particular service, like a WebSocket service, doesn't allow anyone in the wild to do it, because then it would be prone to DDoS attacks and like servers would overload, etc. So some of the safety features in glitch.com, and this is very specific to glitch.com, it is that incoming WebSocket clients need to have an user agent specified. Okay, again, this is a very, very glitch.com thing, and the way to do that is by adding a particular here when we create the WebSocket client on our end. Something that we need to do is we need to specify not only the address that we need to connect to, but we also need to specify here some data that needs to be attached with the connection. And that data is that some options that we need to specify for this connection. Those options are going to be that the headers need to incorporate a specific rule, which is going to be that the user agent needs to be something. So for example, custom WebSocket client, it doesn't really matter, but there needs to be an user agent. And actually, if you want, I'm not sure if this needs to be lowercase or uppercase. If you want, you can basically try to trick glitch.com and just write right here Mozilla or write Google Chrome or whatever this is. User agent basically specifies what type of browser typically, or what kind of software is running this this request. So I'm going to save this, and I'm going to clear the screen, and I'm going to try to connect again to the server. And as I do this now, you can see that now I was able to connect, and then the server received a message from this client, hello server, and then that message was sent back to my client, which was here. Someone said hello server. What's beautiful again about this is that now I can open another PowerShell. I can have another service here. I'm going to move this all the way up here. I can have another service, and I can use this to connect to run the client as well. And if as I run the client, I'm going to connect to the server, I'm going to send a message, and it's going to be broadcasted to this guy and this guy. So, oops. So I'm going to do that. I sent it here, and then this one, yes, sorry, it was blocked, but yeah, it also received the call. And I can start even a third one, right? Which I got here, and then node client, you see? And then the server receives the response, and then it broadcasts this message to all the clients. All right. So yoo-hoo! So now this server is living on the cloud. And actually, I believe for the sake of this video, I'm just going to leave this project living here forever. So, and I'm not going to touch it. So if you're watching this video in the future, hopefully this simple WebSocket server echo project is still living and is still online. However, remember that glitch.com puts processes to sleep after 30 minutes of inactivity. So whenever you are watching this video and you write this and you try to connect, maybe the first time you connect, it may take a minute or two for the server to wake up and to serve a response. Okay. But yep, so that was it. So we have now a server that is living on the cloud, and we can connect from any local server, any local client, and exchange information. So I think right now we are in a very good position to now start experimenting with exchanging richer information, not just simple hello messages, and use that information to inform how clients can communicate with each other and what they can share between each other. So I think I have in mind an example where we're going to create a canvas with a circle, and then we're going to move the circle, and we're going to have that circle move around all the different clients on the screen. Okay, so how about that? Should we try that? Let's do this. Let's move on to the next video and do some circle synchronization between different clients. Okay, let's check it out. Woohoo! All right. Now, if any of you in the live stream is watching this, and if any of you were following my previous live streams, and if any of you have the Node.js client working on your end, I think you should be able to connect to this right now. So you should be able to change what you had, and then connect to this address, this same address, and also change the headers here, and then connect to the same server I just created. So is anyone up for trying this out? I would love if someone can try it out. And then, oops, the server just disconnected. Yes, hello server. So I'm going to, and then maybe you guys can, hello from pcamp. So I'm going to do that. Okay, so if anyone wants to try, it's your chance to write something that is going to show up here on my screen. Are you good? Does anybody want to try? Do you need a few minutes? Should I move on? I'm open to suggestions. If you don't want, it's okay because, oh, hello winter. Who was that? Nice. Um, Also, please remember, no curse words. No, this is needs to be general audience, general public. Okay. hello, hello from Said. Sorry for my absence. Yeah, I don't know who Hello Winter was, but yeah, somebody's following and somebody got this working, which is kind of nice. Who was Hello Winter? You want to raise your hand on the chat? Okay, I'm going to give you a couple minutes for the rest of you. I'm going to go get water, but I'm going to leave this on in case you want to send messages. Hi, Monique. That was pretty awesome. Thank you. So I'm gonna leave this on, Monique. If you want to send more messages, just start the client again and send more messages. I'm gonna go get water. I'll be right back. Hmm. Alrighty. So what else do I have? That was you again, right, Monique? You were from Poland, right? Well, it's very snowy here in Boston as well. It's been snowing a lot. Uh-huh. All right. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to write a P5.js sketch. What do I want to do? I want to write a P5.js sketch that has some kind of circle that we can move around. So we can click around and then the circle goes to that direction. And then I would like to have a server that coordinates that motion between different clients. And then stretch goal would be to upload that P5.js project to Glitch so that you don't need P5, you can run it on full screen somehow. That would be great, actually. Huh, okay. So So how are we going to do that? I think perhaps writing the P5.js app first would be good. And then once we have that, then we can write a we can probably use the echo server too. We can modify the echo server. We can use the same echo server, really. And then once we have that, we modify that so that we echo from the server. And then we have the message be coordinated among different clients. And then if we have time, we can take that project and put it on Glitch. Is that interesting? I'm not sure how interesting that might be, but we can try. Why not? We can also download the project and run it locally. That could also be interesting. Okay, so I think we're going to do that. Okay. I'm going to modify the server. Okay, I'm not going to modify the server. So I'm going to put this here on hold. I'm going to open my editor. Okay. All right, so that's what we're going to do. We are going to write a P5.js sketch with some kind of canvas. The canvas has a screen, and then we click, and then we make the ball chase, and then we leave that ready for using the WebSocket. Using the WebSocket echo server to communicate between processes. Yes. All right, let's do that. And how are we going to start? We're going to start by explaining what we're going to do. We're going to do that by explaining what we're going to do, and okay. All right, how are we doing? Everyone in the chat, are you good? Is it a lot? Are you enjoying it? Is there any kind of example, so any application of this that you would like to see in further videos? We may not be able to get there today, but definitely next week we could give it a try. So just let me know in the chat. How are we going to do this? We're going to create an object. It's called target. Target. Yes. All right. All right, so in the previous videos in this playlist, we saw how to create a WebSocket server, put it on the cloud, and then connect clients and exchange information between them. And the examples that we have done have been very simple text messages, but I would like to show you examples of how to use this technique to exchange more nuanced information, more that is richer and creates more interactive activity, more interactive experiences. So what we're going to do in the next couple videos is that we're going to create some kind of sketch, some kind of canvas where we can click around and have an object like a circle, for example, chase that motion. But I would like to build up so that that motion of the circle is synchronized across everyone who is connected to the same sketch and the same server. So in a way, what we're going to do is this moving circle that is going to have its motion coordinated in many different clients. So that if we all connected to the same place, we would all see the same motion of the circle being clicked by people. So in this particular video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create just that thing, the canvas object with the moving circle, etc., without connecting it to the server. And then in the next video, I will explain how to add code that will connect it to the echo server that we have developed in the previous video, and coordinate this motion between different clients. For this, I'm going to be using P5.js, which I have not explained in my channel, but it's a super nice, extremely rich project, which is basically the JavaScript version of the processing project. And this is really good for creating code that lives on websites, but it's interactive and it's very graphics oriented. If you want to learn more about using P5.js and the online editor, I very, very strongly recommend you check Daniel Schiffman's videos on his YouTube channel, The Coding Train. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the editor and I'm going to log in with my information so that I can create a new project that I'm going to call what am I going to call? Synchronized. Is that sync sync chasing ball, for example? That is a terrible name. But regardless, so I'm going to create this. I'm going to create this canvas, and then I'm going to draw a circle at the center of the screen. So that's going to be width divided by 2, height divided by 2, and for example, 20. And if I run this code, you can see that I get the circle here at the center of the screen. Now, what I would like to do is I would like to create some kind of animation where as I click in different areas of the screen, the ball starts approaching those areas. So what I'm going to do, that kind of motion that is moves into a target position is typically referred to as easing. And the way I'm going to do that is by maintaining two variables in my global scope, which is going to be, one is going to be where the ball is at any given time, and the other one is going to be where the ball is heading towards at any given time. And then every frame I will approximate the location of where it is to the location where it should be. And every time I click on the screen, I will change the location of where I want it to be. So what is that going to look like? Well, I'm going to create a variable which is going to be called position. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an object, a JavaScript object that is going to have two properties, x, which I'm going to initialize to 0, for example, and y that I'm also going to initialize to 0. So that's going to be the current position, current ball position. And now the other one that I'm going to create is target ball position. So same thing. So let target is going to be an object that is going to have x 0, for example, and y is also going to be 0. Why am I creating an object and not just having random variables one after the other? Well, in JavaScript world, it's considered nice to have objects because now I can just refer to this position as position.x or position.y, and everything is very object oriented in JavaScript. That's one thing. But also because I would like to use this example to explain the notion of exchanging JSON data via WebSockets, which is a very, very common scenario. And it will make it much easier for us to communicate and to exchange this data between different clients. So now here in the circle, what I need to do is I need to say, well, what I need to do is I need to draw my circle at position.x, at position.y. If I run that, the circle shows up at 0, 0. That's correct. And then what I would like to do now is I would like to say, whenever the mouse is clicked, function mouse clicked, whenever the mouse is clicked, all right, I would like to replace target with a new object that is going to have x is going to be the value of mouse x, and y is going to be the value of mouse y. And I'm going to print something to the console just to make sure that this is working. So new target is, and then for example, target. Let's see if this works. I'm going to run this code. I'm going to execute this code. And then when I click here, new target is object. Okay, so I need to console log target. And then I believe this will break down. So now I'm going to click here. New target is these pixels and these pixels. So this one is these pixels and these pixels. Okay, so that is looking great, but still not moving the actual ball. So what I need to do now is I need to write here some code where every frame, what I need to do is I need to change the value of position and make it closer to whatever it wants to be according to target. So is position into target. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say position, the value of position x should be the value of target.x minus position.x multiplied by a small factor. So for example, 0.1, 0.1 here. And I'm going to do the same for y. So this is going to be y and y and y. And if I run this code, I believe that I should be clicking here and here and here and here. All right. So I can actually control this. So for example, let me say global parameters, and I'm going to, let me say, for example, const easing speed is going to be, for example, 0.5. And then I'm going to write here easing speed, and here is going to be easing speed. Okay, I'm going to run this again, and then okay. So basically what I'm doing is every frame to the x and the y values of the position, I am adding the difference between where the ball is and what it should be, multiplied by a very small value. Because if I were to add the difference, then it would immediately get to that point. So this is typically, this kind of technique is referred to as easing a value. All right. Okay. And just because I feel like this today, I'm going to play a little bit with the colors and the stuff, because I don't really like it that much. So how about we do something where we say, let's say that the background, let's say that the background is going to be black, and then there's going to be no stroke, and the fill color is going to be white, for example. Okay, and then here in the background, instead of doing so the fill color is going to be white here. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is, instead of clearing the background, what I'm going to do is that every frame I'm going to do a fill color of black that is going to be very transparent, and then I'm going to draw a rectangle from 0, 0 to width and height. I basically want to create this kind of, this like shading effect, this blur effect between the trajectories of, and I actually want to make it a little bit more transparent so that I see the footprints. You see, I don't know if you can notice, but you can see the trace of this motion. Okay. All right, so I'm kind of liking this a lot. All right, so something that I'm going to do is that, just to be the final thing, is that whenever I'm going to actually remove this from mouse clicked, and I'm going to create a new function that I'm going to call set target x and y. And whenever anybody calls that, what I would like to do is replace target with the value of x being I'm just going to write here x position. Now, tx and ty, just so that it's a bit easier to read. So tx, and then the value of y is going to be ty. I'm going to do that because then what I would like to do is that whenever somebody clicks with the mouse, what I would like to do is I would like to set the target to mouse X and mouse Y. All right. That doesn't really make a difference for us right now, but it will make a slight difference whenever we start implementing this in coordination with all the other clients with the server. Okay. All right. So I think at this point we have the basic project that we want, the sync chasing ball, and with that, I think we're ready to move on to the next video, where what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook this project up to the Echo server that we had in Glitch, and then I'm going to be able to coordinate the motion of two. So I'm going to be able to coordinate the motion of two of these sketches next to each other. All right. I'm going to be able to have two clients, and then whenever each one of them moves the ball around, then the motion is going to be coordinated between those two, because they're going to have the WebSocket server in the middle, exchanging the target position of the ball. All right. Okay, so let's move on to the next video and see how to make that happen. All right, now, all right, if you want to follow with this code, I believe you can. I just posted the link to this P5 sketch. Because the sketch is on my account, you can't really change it, but you can clone it or you can copy it to your own P5.js editor account. So how are we doing? Can you see the link that I just posted on the chat on YouTube? Is this visible for you? Because sometimes YouTube blocks links on the chat. Okay, so it is visible. All right, cool. Wonderful. So, all right, so then let's get ready. I'm going to clear the screen. Okay, so what we're going to do now, how are we going to do this? That's a very good question. How shall we do this? How are we going to do this? Did I? I think I tinkered with this before. Did I delete that? Let me give me a minute, because I need to look up the syntax. Of how did I make this happen before? Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. So yeah. So this should be quite easy. Uh, all right. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to start the video by modifying the WebSocket server to remove the someone said, and and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to here implement a connection, and then I'm going to build up incrementally the whole the whole WebSocket client connection. Yeah, I'm a little fussy at this point, so I'm not very bright. I think I need to go out and shovel some snow to freshen up. Okay, so all right, so let's get started. I may just take pauses while recording the video if that's necessary. Mhm. Okay. All right, great. So let's connect what we did in the previous video, which is this sketch of the animated ball that is moving around the place. Let's connect it with the echo server that we deployed before in the previous example, in the previous videos, with glitch.com. So we right now have a server living on the cloud, which takes incoming client connections, and whatever that connection is, it just bounces the message back and forth between all the clients. The only thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to modify this server because right now, to whatever message is coming into the client, it is modifying that message and it's adding someone said. That was fine for the examples before where it was text based, but now we don't really want that. What we want is whatever data was sent to the client, we want that exact to the server, that we want that exact data to be broadcasted to all the clients. So I'm just going to remove this. We don't need that anymore. And then we're just going to exactly replicate the exact same message and it's going to be sent around. Okay. You can notice how the server has restarted and it has created, and now it's listening again. So, which is great. Glitch.com is really good at picking up changes and restarting everything for you. It's really nice. And now what we're going to do is on our side, on the client side, we're going to implement everything that we need to connect to this server. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go all the way down and I'm going to add here to my sketch WebSocket stuff. All right. And I can do it all the way at the end because remember, JavaScript is very asynchronous, and especially in with P5.js, what happens is that all these functions, setup, draw, etc., they get stored in memory when we start the sketch, but they don't really start running until the whole code has been run, all the variables have been declared, etc., and then processing P5 decides that it's time to do setup and to do draw. So all this WebSocket stuff that I'm going to write down here is going to be read and set in memory, and it's going to happen before any of the draw and the setup stuff kicks off. So what we're going to do is, if you remember from our previous client, the client was something like this. Okay, so we need to require this module, and we need to connect, blah, 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 and we needed to add these events to the client. This was like this because we were working in Node.js environment, which is a backend service. And because in Node.js, by default, there is no WebSocket implementation. So we needed to bring it in with this library. However, here in P5.js world, we're not in Node.js world anymore. So we're working with a program with a script, a JavaScript script, that is actually going to be run by the browser. It's not going to be run by Node.js, which means that a lot of things are slightly different, and especially, for example, the fact that in this case, we don't need to bring in any extra library. We actually cannot, because browsers already have, out of the box, they already have WebSocket implementations. So we already have a WebSocket object that we can use. We already have a WebSocket class that we can use right away without needing to bring in any extra code. So then what are we going to do? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new variable here that is going to be also the server address. And I'm going to copy paste what we had here, the one that we were using for the echo server. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a variable that I'm going to call server connection, or I'm going to call it server connection. I don't know. I'm going to call it server. I'm going to call it server connection. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new WebSocket object that is going to be connecting to this server address. All right. And another thing that is slightly different is, remember before when we were running the client in Node.js, we had to bypass this special security issue that we have with glitch.com, which is that WebSocket clients that run on backends, they need to incorporate headers like user agent. We need to incorporate the user agent header. Because this is going to be running on the browser, browsers, when they make requests, they already have user agent headers. So that's why in this case, I don't think we're going to need to do that. I think this is going to work out of the box. So I think at this point, this should work. So let me see if we now, if I run this, if we establish a connection. So we do, and we get an error. There's an error. WebSocket is not defined. I think I have, so I think this should be capital S. So let me try that again. And I think we do, and a client just connected. Yoo-hoo! So turns out the P5 editor, let me do it again. The P5 editor just connected to the server, okay? And then we just connected again. All right, great. So now what we need to do is very similar to what we did with this, which is we need to add some behaviors to what happens when the client connects to the server. The way we're going to do that is by saying server connection dot, and in this case, instead of using the on method, what we do is we access a few particular properties, a few particular methods that are available in the WebSocket object, and we override them. It's just a slightly difference in syntax because we're not using the WS WebSocket library anymore. We're using the browser's native WebSocket implementation. So the way that works is that server connection has a method that is called onOpen. Okay? And what we can do is we can override that function. We can override that function with our own implementation. So whenever onOpen is called, what I want is I want to override it with this function that I'm going to customize. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I'm going to log here, I just connected to the server. All right. And then on the server on, and then server address here. If I do that, I just connected to the server, blah, 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 WebSocket, so that's great. It's working good. And now what I would like to do is I would like to send a message to the server. So for example, server connection dot send, and for example, hello server. Okay. As I do that, I'm going to run, and you can see that here I'm getting a message, receive message from the client, hello server. So this thing is doing what it's supposed to do, which is it's connecting and it's sending a greeting message, a welcome hello message. Now, I'm going to comment that out. And then something that I would like also to do is, well, what I would like to do is every time now that I click on the screen and that I move my ball around, what I would like to do is I would like to send a message to the server with the coordinates of where that ball is in my two-dimensional space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a function here that is going to be send coordinates, send target to server. Okay? And then whenever I do this, what I would like to do is I would like to take the value of target and send that to the server. So that's going to be very easy. So whenever I call this, what I would like to do is I would like to say server connection dot send, and I would like to send the target object, just like that. And therefore, now every time that I click my mouse, what I can do is I can just add a call to this. So that whenever I click my mouse, a message goes to the server with the coordinates of where I want the ball to go. So for example, let me click here. All right. And you see, I receive a message from the client, object, object. I receive a message from the client, object, 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 object. All right. So it looks like every time I'm pressing the mouse, I am sending data to the server. The problem is that this data is not working well because objects in JavaScript, so basically WebSockets as a protocol is designed to exchange strings, is designed to exchange text as a message. And what happens is that when I send target to the server, the send method takes whatever I'm giving it and tries to convert that to a string form as good as it can. Because target is an object that has variable properties, these curly brackets, etc., etc., the easiest way for JavaScript to convert that is through this generic notation of, oh, this is an object, I don't know. But if we wanted to actually convert that to a text representation where we can actually get the values of that information, then we need to do a particular process before, which is called stringification of that JSON object. This is a very common thing that you do when you exchange JSON information between different services. So I'm going to do this here. I'm going to say let str is going to be equal to, and then from the JSON object, I'm going to stringify this target so that we know, so that we can see what has happened. Let me plot here, let me write target, and let me write to the console str, which is the stringified version of that target. Okay, and also I'm going to cancel this. So what I'm going to do here is, you see, I click here, and then one of them is stringified correctly because the console already does it, but the other one is what I want, which is you see, is this kind of string representation with the properties and with the values. So what I would like now is to take that str, that string representation, and I would like to be that what I sent all the way up to the server. So now I'm going to send that str, and let's look at the difference between before we were receiving object, and now I'm going to run this, and every time I click, I'm going to receive from the message this thing that looks like a JSON object with an X property with a particular value and a Y property with another particular value. So this, boom, 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 you see how all those coordinates are changing, right? All right, so now with that, we are ready now to make sure that what we want to do is I would like to make sure that I listen to this information coming from other clients. All right, I needed a break. Sorry. I have been speaking nonstop for what, 30 minutes already? All right. Ooh, how's everyone doing? So, um, okay, so I think I'm just gonna finish this video, and we're not going to cover putting this on glitch. Um, I'm a little fried mentally, so we can do that next time, or not. I don't know, because it may just not take that much actually. Okay, let's go back. Yeah, right, Danielle. There's a lot of snow to shovel, huh? You don't know what you're getting yourself into. uh, where are you calling in from, Danielle? Mm-hmm. Okay. Uh, so, okay, great. So I think we're now ready to also incorporate in our sketch the fact that whenever we get information from the server, whenever we get coordinates, we should also make the ball move because someone else might have sent those that information. And right now, this is not working. The only thing that we're doing is we're only sending information to the server, but we're not listening to the server. So that's going to be very simple. But the only thing that we need to do is here where we have the WebSocket stuff, I need to add another behavior to the server connection, which is going to be server connection. Whenever we get a message, so on message, then take that message and do something with it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say, well, then target needs to be that message, correct? Let me just print this to the console, received, just to make sure that we know what's going on. Let me print out how I received message from the server. Okay. Let me stop this. I'm going to execute again, and then I am going to click here and see what happened. Oof, something went wrong. So, so what happened was, well, first of all, I made a mistake because I forgot that the WebSocket browser implementation, the information that gets passed to the callback function is not the message, it's an event. And then the event has this property called data, which is the actual data that is coming in from the message. So that's one thing. And now I'm going to click again, and then I'm going to click here. And then you can see that we did have here, oops, sorry, event.data. All right. So I'm going to click again, and then you can see that, oof, something happened here. What is that? Well, it turns out that this that I received from the server is the string version of that object that has the coordinates x and y, right? However, it's not really an object the way we have it here, which is kind of strange at the beginning. So to understand, so the way to do that is just like before, we used JSON stringify to take an object, a real object in JavaScript, and turn it into a string representation. Now, what we're doing here is that we're receiving the string representation, but we need to do the opposite conversion. We need to convert that into a native JavaScript object. The way to do that is by doing the opposite. So I'm going to declare a variable here called obj, and then I'm going to do json.parse the event.data that was given to me. And then here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say target now needs to be equal to this object that I just parsed. Let's see if this works. I'm going to run this, and then I'm going to see poof, and you see I received this, and poof. Perhaps let me print to the console log, and then convert it to, and then, for example, obj, and you see if I do this, what I should get is that object thing that we don't like, you see, converted it to object. But if I now print it on its own, obj, you will see how the console already makes that conversion and gives me a readable version of this. You see? Oops. Is someone hacking? It looks like, okay, so definitely this is not me. So it looks like someone who is on the live stream right now, as I am recording this, already took hold of this and is connected to the server. Uh, is that you, Monique, Danielle? You know this is going to go into the video, right? Well, you see, this is the dangers or the fun of recording tutorials with humans on the loop. So let me clean this up a little bit. So yes, so we are parsing the object, and then we are, yeah. So Danielle is admitting to being the culprit here. So and then I create the target, and then now you see this is working for one client, but if I now go here and I refresh my sketch with all the changes, and I run a parallel version, so you can see that now when I click on the right one, both clients are now synchronized. You see? So you can see how the left, the right, so I'm moving, and then the one on the other client is connected. So Danielle, would you mind jumping in and controlling it yourself? There's going to be some lag, so it's going to take him a little bit. So please, Danielle, can you please now try to control it yourself? Hey, and there we go. So this one is not me. So this one is Danielle, who is watching the live stream right now as we are recording. Okay, which is great. Aha! How awesome is this, right? So, yep. So, ah, Can you hear me now? Yes. So, okay. So, all right. So where did the video go? Where did the video go? What was I saying when the video stopped? Uh, mm, I forget what I was saying. Um, Days ago, according to the chat timestamps. Yeah, but there's lag, so it's very difficult to tell according to that. Can I check the recording? Is the recording working already? Oh. No, it doesn't work because it hasn't been properly closed. Ah, no, it doesn't matter. Okay, so I'll just record a new thing. Okay. All right, we're recording this again because the audio went out. Arasto, if you're watching this and you're editing the audio went out, so please feel free to stitch this whatever you think fits better. Okay. Sorry, audio went off, but I think what I was saying is that, so this is the example that I wanted to build. So what I think is great about this is that we have been able to use WebSockets as a way of exchanging information between different clients, and and um, and therefore creating experiences where there are things happening simultaneously across different clients and across different people all across the world, which I think is really cool. And especially here in this case with things that are not so direct, such as text, but are more nuanced, such as the movement of this geometry in a 2D canvas. In the next videos, I'm going to tweak a little bit this example because I don't like working with absolute coordinates. I think it's better to work with relative coordinates for the reasons that I'm going to explain. And also, I'm going to teach you how to take now this P5JS project, which is living on the editor, and therefore it's a little difficult. I mean, you always have to execute it. You always have to run it with the editor, with the code here on the side, whatever. So I'm going to teach you how to take this and extract it into a website that is just the canvas, the 2D canvas, and then we can put this on Glitch as well, so that you can send a link to people like, hey, connect to this and click on the ball, etc., and then you can play together without having to go through the hassle of the P5 editor. So in a way, I'm going to teach you how to deploy this P5 sketch in a way that looks like a finished product. All right. If you liked what you saw in this video, feel free to subscribe to the channel if you think it's worth it, to like the video if you think you liked it. It helps us keep things running. Thanks a lot, and see you in the next videos. All right. All right. Okay, so what are we going to do now? Yeah, I'm just going to finish this off because otherwise I'm not going to finish it in the future. So I'm going to change this to relative coordinates, and I'm going to change this to relative coordinates, and I should have done that in the video, perhaps. Uh, maybe I can just do this one video where I take this and deploy this to Glitch. All right. Okay, so we're just gonna do that. This is gonna be one video where we take this, where we take this to, Oh my God, it's very late already. Where we take this to Glitch. Okay, and I have to teach at 7. Oof. All right. Wonderful. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to take what we have here in the P5 editor and put it somewhere online as a standalone website with just the canvas without all the code and all the P5 editor stuff, so that it looks more like a finished product and still behaves in the synchronous way that we are so enjoying. So let me show you how to do that. The idea behind that is that we can, here with the P5 editor, basically, what we just created in a way with the editor is a very simple website that has an index HTML file with very little code. Code is basically just linking to the P5 library, and in the body it only has the sketch. Then it has the sketch itself, which is a JavaScript file, and it has very minimal CSS styling. The idea is that I can download all of this and put it somewhere online so that it lives and works, which is what we're going to do this right now, which is what we're going to do for glitch.com. One thing that I would like to change before we do that is that if you see this, you see that right now we are exchanging coordinates with the server in absolute terms. So what we are doing is we are exchanging coordinates relative to where this ball is in this particular canvas. However, that is typically not great practice, because if for some reason other clients that are connected to the server are not working on a 400 by 400 pixel square, then those other clients will only have the circle moving in this 400 by 400 area, which if it is smaller, it's going to not take up the whole screen, and if it's bigger, then the ball may disappear on other clients. So it's much better practice, typically, when we do these kind of things, to exchange relative coordinates instead of absolute, which means that the circle here is roughly at 0.5 times the width, at 0.5 times the height, no matter how big the screen is. And it is here is almost at 100% width and 100% wide. So what we want is to have motion be proportional in all the screens. That is much easier. It's much better to just make that proportional. So the way we're going to do that is by anytime we send targets back and forth with the server, we're going to convert them to relative targets. So the idea is, for example, let's say we click with the mouse and we're going to set the target. That target here locally for us is going to be tx and ty in pixel coordinates. But whenever we send the target to the server, what we want to do is we want to send that in a way that has been normalized. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to say norm is going to be equal to a new object that has x is going to be the value of target x divided by the width, which is something that is going to go from 0 to 1. And then y is going to be equal to the value of target dot y divided by the height. And then it is going to be this norm that we're going to send all the way to the server. And now whenever we get information that is normalized from the server, what we're going to do here is we're going to say the object, okay, is going to be parsed in normalized coordinates. But now what I need to do is each one of them, I need to convert them back to pixel coordinates. So the x property of the object needs to be, I'm going to remove this, needs to be multiplied by the width of the screen and the y coordinate of object needs to be multiplied by the height of the screen. And if I do that, then let's see if this works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now execute this. I'm going to run this, and then you see that now the coordinates are in relative form. All right. And let me see if this works for another connection. So let me see if this is still communicating. So I'm going to execute this, and then yes, they are both. But for example, let's imagine that I made this very narrow and that I made it very high, so 800. All right. So if I were to do that, you can see that now roughly they both go to the middle, but their motion is not exactly the same, but it's proportional to the size of each one of them. Okay, so all right, so that's great, and so that is working. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to deploy this on glitch.com. The way I'm going to do that is by downloading all these files here, and I'm going to download them, some of them on my desktop. So for example, I'm going to download them here to my desktop. All right, and then where is that here? Sync, chasing, it looks something like this. So you can see that if I extract this to a folder and I open this folder, you can see that what I have is a very simple website that has style, sketch, and the P5 libraries and a main index file. If I double click on this one, actually, it's going to be super interesting because it's not going to run the sketch because yes, because of sometimes things cannot be run locally because Chrome has security issues as well. So it doesn't matter. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to go to my account and I'm going to create a new project. And this time it's going to be a hello web page. It's going to be a static web page because I don't really need any of the backend stuff for this one. All right. So I'm going to create a new hello project. And what I would like to do is that I'm going to replace whatever is given to me here. Whatever files are in the project, I'm going to replace them with this P5 sketch that I just downloaded. And it looks like Glitch is having some trouble creating a simple static website. So let's give it a minute. Glitch.com, new project, hello web page. All right, and this didn't go through for some reason. And then I'm going to change the name. Simple. No, what did I call it before on in my sketches? I called it Sync Chasing Ball or something like that. Yes, Sync Chasing Ball. All right, so I'm going to remove this. I'm going to remove this. I'm going to remove everything that was coming here, that was out of the box and then I'm just going to upload stuff here. Style, I'm going to upload sketch, I'm going to upload the P5 libraries, I'm going to upload index, and then I believe at this point this should work. No? And it is not working. View page source, so inspect element, and I'm getting okay, so I am not getting all right, so okay, so this is not working. So and I knew this could happen because so I'm just going to record this next time. I think it's a little too late. I don't want to I don't want to have to deal with this right now. Because where is index? Why is index not? Why can I not see index? Oh, okay. So it was just that it wasn't uploaded correctly. All right, that's weird. So, but now we should have this, right? And we should be able to create more of these. Okay, so another one of these, and then they both coordinate. And if I create another one of these, right? Now each one of them, boop. And any one of you watching this video now, or anyone who accesses this link, could fire several of these and also have some fun playing with a coordinated ball across all these clients. Okay. All right. So that was it. That was actually quite easy. So I just created a simple new project with a hello web page. I removed everything that was there previously, and then I uploaded the P5 and the sketch files that I downloaded from the P5 editor. And now I have a static website that I'm actually going to paste here also on the chat, and that anyone can use. All right, so that was it. I think that's going to be it for the main chunk of this playlist. In the next few videos, I would like to try similar techniques, so coordinating the motion of an object, etc. But now open it up to other devices and other frameworks. And I probably will want to try processing, so regular processing, not P5.js, and other things such as Grasshopper, perhaps Unity, etc., etc. Okay? So stay tuned for that, and thank you very much, and see you in the next videos. All right. Okay, I'm fried. Thanks a lot, everyone. I have to go. I have to take a break, and I also need to teach in a bit. So it's been a pleasure. Hope you had fun, and see you next week. Bye bye.